then we'll let people in.
All right.
So, hi, Michael.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Phenomenal.
That's good. That's the most important thing about it. So we will greatly. Okay, thanks first for having accepted to do the work, to play the game. And, and the other thing is, as usual, not as usual, since, let's say, since a few months, this is as we saw us last time, it was just before the confinement, if I'm not mistaken. So the issue was to see us face to face in real life, but it didn't realize. So that's why at the Startup Grind, we moved to a different format, which is called SG Virtual. And the other thing is, this event is also supported by partners like BPM, CMS Law, Fox Strings, and Mixwipe for any audio stuff. So without further ado, Michael Brittingham II, is that correct?
Yes,
so
that is me.
That sounds quite US-like, isn't it? That you add the second after the family name. Is that correct?
It is correct. Yeah, it's I am an American citizen. I've been here in Luxembourg since October of 2016, and yeah, it was one thing that actually my father was very adamant about. From what he tells me, he wanted to make sure that I was not a junior or whatever, that I was or am the second.
But that's interesting. But how did you come to Luxembourg, if I may ask?
Well, it's a very interesting and wonderful story. I'm a beach bum by nature. I was living on the beach in Florida and enjoying life, thinking that I didn't have a care in the world and I was never going to leave my beach. And then I met a beautiful woman who is now my wife. She was there on holiday. I had never heard of Luxembourg. I'd never even been to Europe, and she just blew me away. And here I am now. I've spent the past few years learning new culture and new languages. It's just been a phenomenal journey, and it's one that I would do again in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's great. So you didn't come immediately to Luxembourg. You did some stints in the UK, even though I was not mistaken or not.
No. This was
immediately
actually when I came. Straight from the beach to, as people say, why would you, give up the sunshine for rainy Luxembourg? But I will say it's been a bit more sunny each year, so we're working on making it sunny Luxembourg too.
Exactly.
And it's amazing.
And anyway, after more than 200 kilometers, you have many beaches, so that's the nice part. So, but how did you come then to Spaces? Which is, please correct me, which belongs to Regis, or now IVC Group, it's called. Huh?
Well, yeah, IWG is our group. So IWG was actually, we were founded as Regis in Belgium over 30 years ago. And, it's so great that this is Startup Grind. And so our founder is still our CEO. Yeah. And it's one of these things that it's really nice to be part of this group. And so the Regis group has grown, and we've got so many brands under our umbrella, and Spaces is a part of our group that originated in Amsterdam. And so now we're in the process of introducing it here to Luxembourg, but it's really nice the way that all of our different brands have meshed together under our one group.
And what is so special about Spaces? A lot of people know Regis, especially in Luxembourg and the greater region. But what is so special about Spaces in comparison, let's say, to the Regis? Why did Regis move to Spaces? Let's call it like that.
Well, I think one of the things that makes us so special here at Spaces is our feel, our design. One of the things that we did with Spaces was basically to make sure that it's more of a home feeling. A lot of times you look at some of your either flexible working spaces or co-working spaces or even standard office spaces, and they don't feel like home. And so one of the things that we really wanted to make sure that we had here at Spaces is the feel of home, but a very well designed home, a very comfortable home, a space where you actually look forward to going to every day. It's not some place that you dread, you know, getting up every day and say, "Oh, I've got to go into the office." No, it's like there are actually, you know, we look forward to coming here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I had the opportunity when you showed me a little bit around in the Spaces office near close to the station. It really feels you felt the vibe as well, and also. But let's say so, would be the same clients go to Regis and to Spaces, or is it a little bit different? What is the difference? Because a lot of people are asking, okay, Regis, we know it's office space. They sometimes also offer time limited stuff, but what is more with Spaces?
Well, one of the things that sets the two brands apart is if you look at the structuring of Regis, it originally was geared towards the offices, the private offices, and we had a business lounge, which we obviously still do, but you have the dedication is towards the private offices, and you have the business lounge available. Where here at Spaces, our focus has always been the business club and the community effect. It's basically, you know, we still have our private offices available. We've got our meeting rooms, we've got dedicated desks, but the main thing that we are focusing on here at Spaces is our community. And thankfully, through the technology such as what we're using here with Zoom, we can still keep up with that community even if it's virtually.
And the community, is it difficult to build a community around it in Luxembourg? What would you say?
No, thankfully it's been wonderful. Here in Luxembourg, you have so many people coming from so many different areas that are accustomed to, you know, working together in a community, accustomed to the diversity that we have here in Luxembourg. So getting the people together was not a problem. And generally, what we would do in the past is we would hold our monthly events. We'd hold a afternoon style event that would be geared towards getting our community members to know each other and really spend time together. And then we'd hold our evening events, which were generally what we called fun without a purpose, just trying to get everybody together under a more relaxed thing. How can you say, more relaxed environment? And now we are looking towards still doing more of these virtual events because we've realized that obviously with the social distancing measures, we don't have the luxury of spending as much time together face to face as we like, but we do have the ability still to gather, have a coffee, whether it be virtually or even be able to enjoy a glass of wine, maybe not particularly within the physical company of each other, but still in virtual company.
And with this community, do you see that there's the glue is taking, that there's an ecosystem building around it, or not?
Yeah, it's really nice to see because a lot of times, for example, in our Spaces cafe, when it is open, we do have a lot of times the people are coming from their private offices, spending time together. Even if they come down in groups by office and have lunch, they end up intermingling and having conversations that begin there and then eventually spill over into our business club or end up with potential separate meetings in one of our meeting rooms and really getting them to spend time together. So we've really been able to enjoy that family atmosphere. And one of the other advantages that we have is when you are met here at Spaces, it gives you access to all of our Spaces locations, all of our Regis locations. So that community not just builds here, but it allows you the opportunity to go in and really intermingle with other communities as well. And it's really nice to see it start to mesh. And as you're aware, their Spaces launch is still new here in Luxembourg, but we've seen it build in so many other places, and it's so nice to be able to watch it gel here.
Mhm. And the other thing you just mentioned, I mean, also that was also one of the thoughts is a lot of people think that with spaces you were cannibalizing a little bit the Regis brand, but it's as I heard it was a little bit different because as a spaces member you can, depending on the conditions, you can benefit from the Regis installations
Correct.
worldwide
Worldwide.
or
Hmm.
wherever. Okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
and see, that's the beauty of it. By us being, we're siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than either, being in competition with each other or running the risk of interfering with each other, we work side by side with each other. And the beauty is, because of the fact that we have so many Regis locations in strategic areas, we have so many spaces locations. By becoming a member and by being an office tenant, you have the ability to really, we spoke earlier, I believe off camera, about
Mm-hmm.
the remote working
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
fact that, so many people have gotten used to the whole working from home. And then we're starting to realize the benefits of remote working. And for example, this location that I'm at here is at Place de la Gare,
Mm-hmm.
very centrally located. But say, for example, you have a meeting tomorrow in Paris. We have several spaces locations in Paris that you, as a member here, automatically have the right to enter and use the business
Mm-hmm.
club, private office if you need meeting rooms. And so that really is an added benefit. So it allows for greater flexibility with the remote working.
Mm-hmm. And would you, let's just say, how would you label it if you would have to label it? Would you more label it as office space and with a service or flexible office space, or would you label it more the co-working side?
I'd say we are serviced flexible offices.
Great. Okay.
New thing. We'll
Yeah.
make a new hashtag. But yeah, that would be the best way in my ability to describe it, because it's when you really look at what we're doing here, flexibility is the key.
Yeah.
Because especially now with people having to adjust, whether it's downsizing or even in some cases upgrading, we have the ability to do that almost on the fly. And really now we are really, looking at the ability to service the office, because one of the things that people were saying about the working from home is sometimes it's whether it's the internet connection or
Mm-hmm.
the accessibility to professional grade printing and things of that nature. We have all of that available here. At the same time, you're able to have your private space. And whereas you might have had, say, for example, 20 people in 100 couple hundred square meters, you can now have those same 20 people in the same total amount of space, but have divisions with the offices so that you don't have to have issues with people being so close in
Mm-hmm.
these times.
Yeah, that's great. And also, I mean, you have been also referring to, okay, where you are installed. But now in Luxembourg, you also now just mentioned that there was the launch at the building where you are now. Are there any other plans going on?
Yes, we have big plans for Luxembourg. This is just the start. Yeah, we actually have just started with our Zenith Royale, which
Mm-hmm.
is located right in front of the Royal Hamilias, right there on Boulevard Royale. So we are targeting a 1 October start date for that, and we are so happy to get that one underway. We've got about 4,600 square meters available
Mm-hmm.
there. We've got our third location, which will be opening up here in Luxembourg, which will be at the Close Door in
Mm-hmm.
front of the Deloitte building. We've got I believe 6 floors that we're putting in there, an entire building dedicated to spaces. So right in front of the Auchan, the shopping center, the Close Door shopping center that they have there. So, and we've got other plans in the work, but right
Mm-hmm.
now we're going to kind of keep those under wraps. But I
Yeah.
can tell you from what it's been announced, we're looking at between 6 to 8 new spaces locations here, in addition to the 13 or so
Mm-hmm.
Regises that we already have existing.
And on the service side, will you also increase the service, or is it really that you offer this flexible environment, business environment with all the amenities one needs, and or do you think, because I mean we met pre-confinement.
Yes.
So, and I think it was just the weekend after everything was locked down. So
It
that
was
was it.
amazing. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there then it is. How did you adapt your vision, your strategy during or after the confinement? If I
Oh,
may, yeah.
100%. I mean, it's inevitable. We actually have to, when you look at the current situation that we are in, to think that we were able to do anything as it had been done before is just it goes without saying that it's not necessarily possible. We have to, as a society, look at the way that we do things, and that's what we did as an organization. We looked at the services that we currently offer and said, how can we provide more? How can we provide ways to enhance these services to better meet the demanding needs of the increased remote working? Because the packages that we had available before, we were fully serviced, and that's one of the things. We will be talking about hospitality at some point, and it's kind of hospitality and business intertwined. So you really, basically, I mean, there's so many additional things that we have to provide as far as the ability to virtual network. For example, we're doing this fireside chat now, being able to not only what can we say, participate, but we can even have the possibility of hosting them, so that when we have our either our current members and or tenants or externals that want to come in and use our facility for that, we've got it available. And so we really did have to take a deep look at what we were offering and how we could make it better. And thankfully, we've got such an amazing team that we were able to do that.
And during the confinement, or a little bit at the end of the confinement, have your offices been closed, or have they been open under
No,
certain
thankfully,
conditions?
we were able to remain open. Obviously, we did have to put certain measures in place, but our members were never unwelcome. They were always welcome to come to the building, obviously with the social distancing in place, but we had to be able to provide mail services because people depend on their packages to arrive. They depend on their mail to arrive. We had to have, we had limited reception services. Unfortunately, our cafe, obviously with the confinement rules, was not available to function, but our doors were open for our members at all time. Our sales staff was able to conduct virtual tours to let people know that we are still here. And we did have to adjust some of our hours staffing wise, but as far as our services, no, we thankfully were able to keep them going for our members and tenants.
Oh, that's great. There's just a question I saw in the chat is that the event Fun Without Purpose you were referring to, is it open to people from outside?
At times.
Okay.
Yeah, at times. So basically what we would do is, as I mentioned, we would try to hold a minimum of 2 monthly events. So one event would be an afternoon style event, whether it's coffee breaks or community lunches or things that attract mainly our internal members and guests. And then the evening drinks, as we like to call it. Sometimes it's only for our members, but we would never turn away guests. And people are always welcome to come and enjoy us for a day. So if they're interested, they can reach out to either me or any of our receptions or our sales team and basically have the ability to come and visit us and try us out for a day. And when they come in, they can see our event board, and we would never turn anybody away. So everybody would be welcome to come and join us for some fun.
And there's another question is about your pricing. I mean, Pre-confinement, probably you had a certain pricing strategy. And don't talk about the levels, about figures, but now after the confinement, have you adapted it?
Oh, yeah. Of course. We had to. I mean, basically, because if you think about it, I mean, I don't know, as I mentioned with the adaptability of our services, it would have been impossible to move forward without doing so, because of the fact that we're having to change the structure of how our so many I guess you could say commercial real estate, so much of it was focused on high density. And now we're having to reshift our focus. So yeah, the pricing does have to be, you know, looked at, shall we say.
Okay,
and has been. So yeah, so those of you that were considering coming to see us in the past, take another look, because I think we can really provide something that would meet your needs.
But also, did you also adapt on the service side? That I think the question was more in that direction.
Like in the pricing of the servicing?
Not really the pricing, but that you were what you have been mentioning, that you were adapting the services, and then eventually you included some services which you didn't have before.
Well, we're trying to provide additional services now. Our ad hoc services, the things that come included with the office, those are pretty standard across the board. But when you think about what we are offering, I mean, we've got, you know, our telephony services, our IT services, the reception services, the mail. We do have a lot of things that are pay as you go, obviously, but yeah, as far as what's available and included, I mean, it's really so much that we currently offer. I mean, it really makes the pricing worth it when you look at it, the way that we're able to really provide. We almost, I don't want to say almost, but we consider ourselves to be part of your team. So for example, when you're here, you have your business located here and you're working with us here, we are part of your team, and we are providing as much service as you can, because I know not every company has the luxury of having a receptionist available, or having the luxury of having I guess even additional admin hours available. Those are things that we do provide as an additional service.
Okay, great. And then we are coming a little bit to the end, because it's a fireside chat, so it's fast. The one is, how do you see the future for your service industry? How, if you would have, let's say so, you had a book and you could open it and write it, how would you see it? The future.
I see it expanding. I see our future is, because of the flexibility that we have, our future is extremely bright. One of the things that, as I mentioned at the onset here, is that the flexibility of our offices and the affordability of our services, those things combined with our global presence, really provides us a perfect opportunity to be in place for whatever the company's need may be. As I mentioned before, we all realized through the confinement that working at home is possible. Working remotely is possible. For years, people have discussed it, and companies have considered it, but I'd say a lot of companies wondered about the feasibility, whether or not it could be maintained. And I think one of the things that people are starting to realize now is that when you have the ability to work remotely, you'll find yourself at times more productive, because you're in a comfortable environment, which goes back to the type of setting and environment that we're providing here. But it really provides you the ability to, for example, reduce your commute, have the ability to be comfortable in multiple locations. One of the things that I like to tell our members that I consider to be an extra added benefit is, when you take an office with us, you're not just having an office here at 5 Place de la Gare. You're not just having an office on Boulevard Royale. You've got an office virtually anywhere you'd like within, I guess, we're what, over 900 cities in the world. So, you can pretty much know that no matter where you are located, you have the ability to show up and be welcomed as if you're at home. And so I think that comfort really provides the, I guess, what people are looking for to be productive. When you can be comfortable, I believe that you can really get a lot of stuff done. And I think now that companies are starting to see that, it puts us in a prime position to be there for them.
Mm-hmm. There's another question popping up. I was a little bit fearing it, but you probably were expecting it. There are some peers who call themselves co-working and so on, international ones and local ones. How do you see it? Because, I mean, we are startup in Luxembourg. How would you see it in Luxembourg evolve? I mean, the major players, I mean, the big ones, which are in the major cities around the world, they are not here or not yet here. But there are others around, smaller, more boutique or less. How do you see it evolve here around in our region? Is that something positive or?
Yeah, I think it's great because of the fact that it shows that this is a good plan, that this system works. And as I mentioned before, one of the things that sets us apart is our global network. And so I have great interaction with a lot of representatives from the different co-workings here in Luxembourg. And that's one of the things that we discuss sometimes. We all offer different things. And so because of that, we're able to work with each other rather than against each other. There's enough out here for all of us. So it's really good for us to be able to realize that. And for example, some specialize in this, some specialize in that. We specialize in these things. And so as we decide to work together in a friendly environment, it really helps us to basically benefit the businesses, the startups, the people that are out there trying to find a place to go. And when you realize that it's really all of us kind of working hand in hand, I think it's great. And like you said, the more of us that there are available, in my opinion, it just shows that there's a need.
Exactly. And there, I think that's the last one that we take now, is there are different business models. There are those who go and rent a huge space and then divide it and sub-rent it or sublet it. And there are those who own the buildings and then rent it out to service providers who do their job. And then there are those who own the buildings and also run the buildings. In which category is spaces or regions falling, if I may ask?
Generally, we like to stick with a situation where we're tenants ourselves in most of our buildings. We do have some buildings that we may have ownership in, but generally what we like to do is, by us staying away from long-term big balloon leases and things of that nature, that allows us to be able to provide affordable solutions for our tenants and our clients, and be able to do so in a what do you call it, either short-term or long-term basis. One of the things that you can really find when you get into, I mean, that's one of, I guess we could say our benefits, is the fact that because we are not tied into the hard bottom line, it allows us to be able to provide that flexibility for our members and tenants. So
okay, great.
I think,
thank you.
We'd fall into that category.
Great, thank you, Michael. And
of course,
as usual, any last words you would like, not your last words, sorry for that, don't misunderstand me, but any last words you would like to share?
Oh, I'd like to thank you, first of all. Thank you for hosting this forum and providing us the opportunity to be here. And thank you to everybody that's joining us. Hopefully it was great. And hopefully if you're in Luxembourg or in any other area in the world where you've got a spaces available, come by and give us a look and see what we've got. And if it happens to be here at Place de la Gare, I'll be here. And when we have our Zenith building open, I'll be there. And so it'll be nice to be able to welcome you in. So I think I just want to say thank you again, not just to you, Steve, but to everybody that joined us this afternoon. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you for having played the game, and also thank you to our partners and also to all the participants. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
So, and